Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Throwback Thursday video. And this time around, we're going to take a look at FIFA 18. FIFA 18 is probably my most beloved FIFA, I would say. Not because of career mode or pro clubs or anything, but FIFA 18 marked the first time I was able to actually compete somewhat in terms of FIFA Ultimate Team. The team that I had was as meta as I could get it because I was very cheap, and I wanted to just use cheap beasts that over the course of the game would still allow me to be good enough to compete versus all the other teams. And obviously I'm not number one in anything, and I wasn't like top 100 and stuff like that, but in comparison to all my previous FIFAs that I've played, this was actually the first time that I got to a good enough level to where I can just get some rewards for myself and not have to worry about missing out on certain things. Icons in previous games were impossible for me to get, and that was just one aspect. And in this game, we actually got the introduction of squad battles, if I remember correctly, which was a very positive change for FUT in terms of wanting to play the game, because the game was supposed to be fun. The game is fun. I would say a lot of people might disagree and say FIFA 19 had better gameplay, but a lot of it right now is trying to make it sound like the past was a lot better than the current present, but it's just not true. And as much as we try to paint that previous FIFAs were better and more fun and diverse and all that, it really wasn't. When you boil it down, just a smidge. In terms of the cards, a lot of it was the better cards you got, the better you were at the game. I would say probably FIFA 17 was a lot more focused on that in terms of better cards were better in game, because composure at that time I think was like non-existent, and a lot of people were confused because all the composures I think were at 50 or 0 or something like that, and I think the developers were like, oh, that just means most of the composure is onto the actual person behind the sticks. And now we have player cards that actually have their own composure in terms of present FIFAs and stuff like that. And FIFA 18 for me was probably my favorite, and it actually sucks because going from FIFA 18, which was my favorite, to FIFA 19, which was probably my most detestable FIFA Ultimate Team experience ever. It's a huge dip in what I kind of wanted from a FUT Ultimate Team game, because that's essentially what a FIFA game is. At the end of the day, it's an Ultimate Team machine. You really only play the other modes once Ultimate Team is kind of done, washed up, nothing else to do on the game. So yeah, FIFA 18, I got a lot better in terms of online. I was actually able to compete in FUT Champs this time around with my sort of meta team. The team you see on your screen right now is my Club America team, because back then I only supported Club America fully. I was a little bit of a Chelsea fan around this time, but I never really fully embraced it. I was kind of like trying my best to watch European football, but it was very hard because there wasn't many ways for me to watch it, and Mexican football was always on my local TV. So it was very much easy to just turn it on the weekends and play for watch whoever's playing on the field on the TV. And FIFA was actually the only way I would be able to get some of the stuff in terms of watching European teams, because I would have to watch them online and stuff like that during my college days and whatnot. And this team was about as competitive as I could get it. Obviously, this is my end game team. This is not the team that I used in the beginning of the game. I think in terms of keeper, this might have been De Gea, because I do remember Ener Valencia and Eric Bailly being part of the center backs. I had David Luiz as another center back that would link into Alex Telles or Alexandro, and then he would link into Fernandinho, which I did use as a box-to-box. And then Bakayoko, actually, his gold card in this game, I think, was a huge problem for a lot of people, because he would basically be your Patrick Vieira, and a lot of people didn't like that. But, for someone who couldn't afford actually using Patrick Vieira, Bakayoko was probably the closest thing you could get to someone like that. And then my right center mid option was Christian Eriksen, and he was probably one of my favorite players of the whole FIFA. That guy, he was just him. He was just that guy in the center mid spot. And this was the first year I actually got to play 4-1-2-1-2, which, as you guys know, in terms of my previous two Road to Glories, 4-1-2-1-2 is absolutely my favorite formation. I have not strayed away from it at all, even during the times where, in FIFA 19, the most meta formation was 4-2-3-1. But, that was just for that FIFA, because it was necessary to have those two DMs. But obviously, with the other games, 4-1-2-1-2 is my go-to, and it always will be my go-to. And for FIFA 23 will probably also be my go-to, just because it's super easy to make a team around it. And as much as one DM is something people would be uncomfortable with, for me, it's absolutely fine, because I actually defend with my center backs, which is something a lot of people don't do. A lot of people just sit back with their midfield in front of their center backs, have their center backs be auto blockers and whatnot. But I'm not here to talk about other people and their play style. They can play however they want. But for me, 4-1-2-1-2, I don't think anything could ever change it. And obviously, the one thing that is important to note that's still broken is the fact that Cam still has that bug. And I don't know when it started, but it's still not fixed. EA really need to get on that at some point. But yeah, in terms of I guess anything else, maybe career mode. I think I had a career mode in this one. I'm not entirely too sure. I don't remember much outside of FIFA Ultimate Team for a lot of the FIFAs, because once Ultimate Team was done, there really was no point in me picking up the game, unless I had a very strong desire to play player career mode and see what I could do, see what challenges I could make for myself. There was no absolute need. There's a lot of other video games out there that can just take up your time until the next release of the next FIFA, and you go about your year again in that same cycle. And yeah, FIFA 18 I think was the last time you could get walkouts for your Reds. I will talk about the changes for FIFA 19, but this year was actually the last year that you could actually see your Reds walk out. Obviously, in terms of FIFA 22, which is the current FIFA that we're on, you can technically have Reds walk out. They just have to be the packs from the Squad Battle rewards that are out right now that allow you to get a minor team of the season uh, that is either capped at 90 or it's the 91 plus, and those are technically reds that do walk out, which is a very huge surprise. It's been a very long time since we've seen red picks or red cards as walkouts, being from FIFA 18 all the way to 22 as that gap. It's sometimes you forget a lot of things that happened in the previous FIFAs. And I will say this FIFA was probably the most active for a lot of people because of the World Cup. And we will be getting into a little bit of the World Cup, I think. Just because, there's a lot of stuff that people try to remember about a lot of things. And just to quickly note on these icons that you're seeing on the screen, EA actually gave us all a pack of 3 icons. It was the same 3 icons. There was no chance of getting a better icon or anything. It was literally those same 3. And a lot of people were both complaining and not complaining because, for one thing, the game is dead. There was no reason to get back on this game. And obviously there are some people that still play this game. Obviously from the squad battles, you can tell that people are still playing this game. If your game has squad battles, people are still on it 100% until the game shuts down, obviously. But that icon pack, some people were complaining like, oh, why don't you just give us R9, Maradona, and Pelé? Like, what is actually holding you back from doing that? Especially with the fact that nobody's gonna play this game competitively anymore to any standard. There's no more weekend league. You could go into divisions and try to find somebody, but like there's no need for it. You just play a game of squad battles with your R9 that EA gave you 3 years later, and go about your day. But they gave us Shevchenko, Van der Sar, and Laudrup, which in this video I'm pretty sure we used Laudrup to open up a 100k because during the SBC sections we had icons that would stay forever, which for whatever reason EA still haven't done. They still got expiration dates on their icons instead of just having them there sit for the rest of the year. Especially with the fact that PIMs come out midway through the year. There's nothing wrong with EA releasing PIM icon SBCs and just having them sit there for the rest of the year, so that people slowly grind them over time. I don't think an icon SBC would tank the market or inflate it too much, because people can just wait and we'll have endless supply of cars to just put in. There's no real need to like do it within a day or a week. If you release it at the right time, there's a lot better ways to handle this. And the SBCs here, I will say for FIFA 19, the SBCs were maybe a little bit better, but the FIFA 18 was definitely the blueprint in terms of SBCs that we could get. All these the America, Asia, Africa SBCs, these were nice to complete. I never got the chance to finish them all because there were a lot, and I think the cards you get from these were just tokens for something else, but I don't actually remember what we used these for. It's been a very, very long time, and I will say that this FIFA also is another FIFA that I would recommend you to go watch some of the rewards that happen, because the rewards are very fun to witness, especially since they're walkouts and whatnot. A lot of people like the improvement on the walkout and animations. And this time around, if we get to the packs or anything, when we get to the pack that we open, I'm pretty sure you will see that the chance for getting a gold card, I think, pops up real quick. because the kind of the like face of the pack or something, they start spinning, and then during the spin you see if the middle lights up, and if it does light up you get a gold rare, I think, and if it doesn't it's a non-rare. So there's that in terms of packs, but we will see that there's just there's a lot of stuff in FIFA 18, because this was the year that we got SBCs, squad building challenges, and it really helped the game just be, I guess, more engaging for a lot of people. You got squad building challenges, you had better SBCs, which I will correct myself. This is not the first year we got squad building challenges, but this was the first year that we got a lot better at these things. EA got us more enticed in doing a lot of SBCs. SBCs were just a huge introduction in the early parts of these games, and just having the icon SBCs sit here for forever and being able to grind them was one of the fantastic aspects, in my opinion, about these games. If I had more time, I probably would have grinded these icons a lot more than the ones I did, because I do remember grinding for Maldini during Footies, I think, or it was Festival of Football. It was one of those, and I do remember grinding for Maldini and seeing what kind of things I could do. And one thing I will say is I maybe the icons were a lot more expensive back then, just because you actually had to submit another icon. So their prices, they would hit a bottom, but they would never be super cheap because you always had a need for them, especially with the fact that you would have to submit an icon for 100k pack. So that an icon was at least worth 100k. But as you and I know, packs are very much a hit or miss type of thing. But, at the end of the day, they were just fun to open. And if you did have any spare icons, you could always put them into the SBC and get a 100k pack, and then see, do you get something good? Do you get something bad? What kind of luck do you have? And I'll tell you right now, I've never had good luck. It wasn't until I think FIFA 20 or 21 where I actually had some decent luck, but I never actually got any good luck. Maybe FIFA 19 is an exception, because in the next video I will show you guys what I ended up getting and stuff like that, a little bit of history. But in terms of FIFA 18, I didn't have much good luck. Maybe you could say the Mahrez was good luck, because during my early days of this team, Mahrez, Martial, and Gabriel Jesus were my go-to front three in terms of the two strikers and the cam. I think Martial and Mahrez were my two strikers, and then Gabi Jesus was my cam, and it always worked out. Or it might have been Martial and cam and Jesus as striker, but those three were just my goats for this game. And Mahrez, he got that inform, and I was grinding FUT champs for that month, because you still had rewards come out every month instead of every week, which obviously changed with the next game. But it was still a luck of the draw, because there was only one card that could be gold, and then the two cards would be silver or bronze, I think, was how the rewards went for like silver or gold or something like that I got. And I got lucky with Mahrez, so I guess I had a little bit of luck. But in terms of like everything else, it wasn't that huge. But I still appreciate this game a lot. This game got me some good memories. A lot of people will complain about the gameplay, in terms of how this was more like ping pong than anything else, but there's been a lot of analysis from FIFA content creators over the past 3 years that would say that the current FIFAs are a lot more like basketball, and they're getting away from actually playing football. And as much as people would say this is more like ping pong, I still loved it because the ping pong, reminded me of Barcelona playing tiki taka. That was the kind of the style that I wanted to start to develop during this game and put it all together and whatnot. And for me, doing this kind of gameplay was kind of the reason why I still try to incorporate it a little bit. It's kind of difficult in the modern versions of the game because passes can be intercepted, or certain passes will just be allowed to go through. So there's no real like ping pong action, which is what people would probably say they loved about the game, about the newer games, I would say. But for me, I miss a bit of the ping pong. As much as it's weird and probably should not be in the game, and etc. etc. We could go all day with what's a good football game, what's not a good football game. For me, the FIFA 18 style was just something I would have loved to have played for at least 3 more years. Um, sure, low driven shots were broken during this game. You could do a low driven shot and score it from in the middle of the box, at the edge of the box, from a lot of crazy angles, which was why I think De Gea was the number one goalkeeper, because he one was very good, and two had the saves with feet trait, which a lot of people would go for just to see if they can avoid certain goals, because De Gea would just try to save with his feet and block goals that would otherwise be 100% in the back of the net every single time. Which was I guess it was a weird thing for people to complain about, because nowadays people complain like, oh, I'm shooting with 99 Ronaldo and it's not going in. And I will say in FIFA 18, if you shot a low driven shot with Ronaldo, that's going in 90% of the time, which is a lot better than what most would say for this FIFA, for the last FIFA. Maybe even in FIFA 23, people will complain about Ronaldo not scoring every single chance they get, which is a bit of a hard thing to control, I guess, just because you can't really make a card that just scores every single opportunity, because then people would just fixate themselves on making sure that card gets all the chances, because it's a 99% chance of scoring, and then that's what breaks the game, and it'll just cause too much mayhem with everything. But yeah, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I've rambled on a very long time. This is a very long video. But FIFA 18 is my love. This team on the screen is incredible. I wish I could use this every single FIFA. Maybe Shevchenko for Gabriel Jesus, but this team right here is one of my favorites of all time. I will say that, even with the Chelsea Road to Glories, this team right here is my favorite, and this is not even the most broken team that you could possibly conjure in FIFA 18. There's a lot better teams, but for me, this is the one. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys in the next throwback FIFA video. Peace.